What's goody, Shellitronnn here. You can call me Shells, and I'm back out again with a brand new video. I'm gonna keep it a Bowlberry biscuit. This news that just came down not even an hour ago has me shook. And I ain't gonna lie, it should have you shook too, because this is the very first step into the NFL making that next tweet, making that next announcement that none of us want to hear. I'll get to that here in a second, but for right now, throw this tweet right here from Pro Football Talk saying 2020 preseason has been cut in half per source. Post coming at PFT. Basically what's happening here is the NFL preseason is losing 2 games, the first week and the 4th week. Really the two biggest jokes of the weeks for the preseason are now gone. Only weeks 2 and 3 of the preseason will be played. This is a very, very interesting development from the NFL. It is showing us we're getting less football in 2020. Now I know what you're thinking. The preseason does not matter. We don't care about the preseason. The starters don't really play. And last time we saw our starters play in the preseason, someone got hurt. He did not play but 2 games, and he should not have played those 2 games. And now that guy is now playing for Bill Belichick and the Patriots. I understand what you're saying, but the preseason does matter for those fringe players, those backup guys, those special teams players. There's a lot of guys who have shown up big in the preseason, and those are sometimes guys who didn't look all that great in training camp or just looked all right in training camp. But when you see him in the game, coaches say, hold up, this man right here really might be onto something. Or you see that you're like, okay, we can only keep one of these guys, one of these receivers, but there's 2 receivers that really show out, so you keep both of those and you cut a tight end or something. There are guys who make rosters based off of the performance in the preseason. And these aren't guys making millions of dollars. These are guys who are fighting for roster spots. And I guess for most fans, we don't care about those dudes. We care about the running back, the starting quarterback. We care about the starters and maybe a couple of backup guys. No one really cares about the 6th receiver or about a special teams kind of guy. But there are plays made every week for every team by one of those guys at the back end of the roster, and having less opportunity to show what you can do, because keep in mind, there's no mini camp. There's a shortened training camp, and now there's only 2 games of the preseason, and you do want to have some of your starters play. You can't just have no starters play at all, because there'll be no live football, no live hits for those guys at all going into week 1 of the regular season. And after having no mini camp, having a probably shortened training camp, a later training camp, it is very safe to assume that the quality of football we'll be getting week 1 of this NFL season will probably be very, very low. We know guys are working out on their own at their house. You know these guys got money. They got money, you feel me? They can work out. They can keep in shape a little bit on their own, but it's not the same kind of shape they would be in at the team facility working with their team. There's a new quarterback in Carolina. Teddy Bridgewater hasn't been a starter in years. Teddy Bridgewater just got here. He has to build up his timing, his chemistry, you know, that kind of rapport with the receivers. Not just with the receivers though, with the tight ends, the running backs, and the O-line. The quarterback center synergy has to be good. And after having almost no time to practice, and then if you don't let Teddy play in the preseason, he only gets what? A couple quarters, maybe 10 snaps each game in the preseason. Just how good of football do you expect to see from this team week 1, maybe even going into week 2 of the regular season? There is going to be a lot of real sloppy play come September. And it's not just the Panthers. This is every team in the league. We see guys like Brady, like Russell Wilson breaking rules, trying to get more reps in with the receivers because, look, you got to risk it. You got to risk getting yourself, your teammates, their family sick so you can have maybe a leg up in the regular season and maybe winning more games and getting to the Super Bowl. But before we even get to the Super Bowl, there is a second tweet I want to speak on that says that the NFL might ask fans to sign a COVID-19 waiver to attend games this season. I think some people already thought that might happen, but hearing it like maybe being an official thing really calls into question, are we really going to see football in September? I was talking about the Super Bowl. I'm not 100% sure that football's going to happen when we say it's going to happen. Or if it does happen, it may not actually finish the full season. I don't know if we get to January. I'm not sure this NFL season actually makes it to the playoffs. I'm not sure it gets to week 16. I'm thinking probably 8 weeks. 2 months of football. I think we start to see a big spike. You have 53 guys on the active roster at any time. Then you have guys in the practice squad. You have your coaches, your coordinators. Then it's the assistants and the position coaches. You have the training staff. You have the people who work inside the building. And you're talking about fans coming in if they sign a waiver.
Come on, man.
And let's just imagine that these people do sign waivers, but they still get sick. The NFL and the teams individually may not be liable legally for the responsibility of all those new cases coming up with all those people coming into the games. But think about it. Think about the optics, about the publicity. NFL allows fans to come in, a new second wave from all these fans in different parts of the country coming together at NFL games. They signed a waiver, but then a huge second wave comes up because of that. Even if you aren't liable for any kind of legal action, those are bad looks, and the league might have to shut down because of that. That does not protect the league from being forced to shut down, either from an outside source or from them saying, yo, this is just not looking good for us. We're probably going to have to shut this down, even though they can't sue us. But you never know. There's a lot of ways you can get to a loophole in a contract. You may be able to find something to get a class action lawsuit against the NFL. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But what I do know is that if a lot of people did get sick at NFL games and they could be directly traced back to the NFL, it's going to be a bad look, and the league could shut down at any moment because of the publicity surrounding it. I'm not so sure we even make it to 16 games this year. So if we can circle back to the first topic about the shortened preseason, if we're not going to get a full season, a full regular season of NFL, and we're cutting down on the preseason, that's even less sports. At this point, I'm thinking to myself, man, look, we may as well have all 4 weeks of the preseason, you know, make it a glorified Pro Bowl. You can't get any softer than a Pro Bowl. People watch the Pro Bowl. I don't. It's a trash game. But at least give us some preseason. That's because I am almost certain we are not getting 16 full weeks of the regular season. But if I'm going to be real about it, it's not that I think it just won't happen. I'm not so sure it should happen. The crazy thing about this, the great thing about this, honestly, is the scheduling of the games in this preseason. Say we actually do get these 2 games. I think we'll get to these first 2 games of the preseason. Our first game is against the Patriots. So the first time you see the 2020 Carolina Panthers will be Cam Newton playing against his old team. Now that's going to be something. Cam and Bill Belichick having what, like 6, 7 weeks, 8 weeks to work together and coming back to Carolina. Last time we checked, the defense wasn't that great. The defense, you can say what you want about Cam Newton's arm, but I think he can throw good. It's Eli Apple he's throwing against. Cam has seen a lot of Dante Jackson in his day. Cam has seen Dante Jackson in practice. He's seen Dante Jackson in game film. He knows, look. He has 2 targets, Dante Jackson, Eli Apple. What do you think's going to happen? I think even a 70% healthy Cam Newton can destroy, carve up these 2 dudes, Dante Jackson and Eli Apple. Cam could have his right hand covering his face, throwing left-handed. 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. I promise you that. But then our second game is against the Ravens. We probably don't get to actually see Lamar in that game, but that will be dope to see us play against Lamar in the preseason. I mean, we can see how our guys on the edge look, how our guys on the interior look, and I want to see how we do against tight ends in coverage because that was a big problem for us. But all in all, man, losing 2 preseason games, and me, I'm just really convinced. I'm really convinced that we aren't going to get 16 games of the NFL this season. We're getting less sports. And if I'm being real here, on one side, I hate that because everyone likes sports. Come on, man. We want more sports. We need something. We haven't had sports in a long time. By now, we would be, I think, in the NBA Finals. This is around when the final starts. July 1st-ish is about the first game of the finals, maybe the last game of the conference finals if it goes 7. But around this time is when NBA is like at its peak. We haven't had any NBA in months now, and we may not get a full 16 weeks of football plus the 2 months of playoffs, it's going to be tough. But then on the other hand, who cares about sports when there is a deadly pandemic ravaging not only this country, but mainly this country? You know what's going on, and you know the states it's going on in, and you know what kind of states it's going on in. These numbers ain't coming down in the United States now. They're not just staying even either. So I'm not sure we should even get a full 16, or if we will actually even get the season to start. Because we're months away from the start of the regular season in September. A lot of things can happen in 2 months. Officially about 2, maybe 2.5 months away from the first regular season game of the 2020 season, a lot of things can happen. That's all I got for you for right now, man. The preseason cut in half. I don't know if we get the full preseason at all. I'm not even sure we get the full season. What are your thoughts on the preseason being cut in half? Cam being our first game? What are your thoughts on the NFL season? Do you think it'll start and it'll go all the way through to the playoffs and the Super Bowl? Do you think it's going to start but have a short ending like around week 8 or 10? Or do you think the season will get canceled outright? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below, and you already know what to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Been told y'all I been the man. Been told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.